my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Andy, sometimes Mouse, and I talk about books and book-related things. And today I am giving you my November TBR, which is also the first half of my Clear Your Shit Year 3 Into the Stacks TBR. Now, because I helped write the story and already wrote the prompts, I already know what the top secret prompts are, so I'm going to also give you my book picks for those prompts. However, that does mean you can go ahead and guess what the prompts are, but good luck with figuring it out. Because sometimes I kind of cheat the prompts so that they fit what I have to read. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. I do also have some physical books this year, which I'm excited about. I will say a lot of what I'm reading this year for Clear Your Shit is going to be series continuations that I really needed to get done for audiobooks that I have that are unread, and then also ARCs, advanced reader copies that I have that have been kind of piling up because my reading has slowed down, so I am focusing a lot on advanced reader copies, so there's that also. I'm also going to give you guys the prompt down at the bottom while I verbally tell you what the prompt is that this book is going to, just so that you can follow along. Maybe have some of the same books for some of the prompts that I'm using, or the same book for a completely different prompt, and you can let me know in the comments down below if you do. That would be super cool. First up, we have The Witch and the Vampire by Francesca Flores, which I am reading for a book with a romance plot or subplot. Ava and Kay used to be best friends, until one night, 2 years ago, vampires broke through the magical barrier protecting their town, and in the ensuing attack, Kay's mother was killed, and Ava was turned into a vampire. Since then, Ava has been trapped in her house. Her mother, Eugenia, needs her. Ava still has her witch powers, and Eugenia must take them in order to hide that she's a vampire as well. Desperate to escape her confinement and stop her mother's plans to destroy the town, Ava must break out, flee to the forest, and seek help from the vampires who live there. When there is another attack, she sees her opportunity and escapes. Kay, now at the end of her training as a flame witch, is ready to fulfill her duty of killing vampires that threaten the town, including Ava. On the night that Ava escapes, Kay follows her and convinces her to travel together into the forest while secretly planning to turn her in. Ava agrees, hoping to rekindle their old friendship and the romantic feelings she started to have for Kay before that terrible night. But the monstrous trees that devour humans whole, vampires who attack from above, and Ava's stepfather tracking her, the woods are full of danger. As they travel deeper into the forest, Kay questions everything she thought she knew. The two are each other's greatest threat, and also their only hope if they want to make it through the forest unscathed. I love friends to enemies to lovers. I love it. I love it, because that gives you like that backstory, that like extra backstory, that betrayal somewhere along the way that maybe was a miscommunication, a misunderstanding, and then they become enemies, secret enemies, whatever. I love that trope, so I'm really excited about this one. Next, we have a graphic novel, and I am reading this one for the prompt, a book you could read in one night, or a short book. That is going to be The Moth Keeper by Kay O'Neill, who formerly was known as Katie O'Neill. Kay wrote the Tea Dragon Society books. For context, Anya is finally a moth keeper, the protector of the lunar moths that allow the night lily flower to bloom once a year. Her village needs the flower to continue thriving, and Anya is excited to prove her worth and show her thanks to her friends with her actions. But what happens when being a moth keeper isn't exactly what Anya thought it would be? The nights are cold in the desert, and the lunar moths live far from the village. Anya finds herself isolated and lonely, and despite Anya's dedication, she wonders what it would be like to live in the sun. Her thoughts turn into an obsession, and when Anya takes a chance to stay up during the day to feel the sun's warmth, her village and the lunar moths are left to deal with the consequences. It is definitely middle grade, but regardless, I'm still very, very excited about reading it. Next up, we have All of Us Villains and All of Our Demise. I am actually putting 2 books into this one prompt, and that is for a book with a red cover. The blood moon rises, the blood veil falls, the tournament begins. Each generation, at the coming of the blood moon, 7 families in the remote city of Ilvernanth each name a champion to compete in a tournament to the death. This is like Hunger Games meets blood magic, or not blood magic, meets magic, and enemy families fighting it out, basically. That's all you need to know. It's a really good book, and I'm very excited to read the second book. But I don't even remember how the first book ended because I have terrible memory. So I'm really excited about reading the first book again and then reading the second book. Now for the next prompt, it is a book with a quest for a lost person or item, and I will be reading Where Darkness Blooms by Andrea Hanna. Same name. The town of Bishop is known for exactly 2 things: recurring windstorms and an endless field of sunflowers that stretches farther than the eye can see, and women, missing women. So when 3 more women disappear on a stormy night, no one in Bishop is surprised. The case is closed, and their daughters are left in their dusty shared house with the shattered pieces of their lives. Until the wind kicks up a terrible secret at their mother's much-delayed memorial. With secrets come the lies each of the girls is forced to confront. After caring for the other girls, Delilah would like to move on with her boyfriend, Bennett, but she can't bear his touch. Whitney has already lost both her mother and her girlfriend, Eleanor, and now her only solace is an old weather vane that seems to whisper to her. Jude, Whitney's twin sister, would rather ignore it all, but the wind kicks up her secret too. The summer fling she had with Delilah's boyfriend. And more than anything, Bo wants answers and she wants them now. Mood. Something happened to their mothers and the townsfolk know what it is. She's sure of it. Bishop has always been a strange town, but what the girls don't know is that Bishop was founded on blood and now it craves theirs. Next is for the first mini boss battle, and again, this is definitely a surprise. You will not know what the prompt is. I will say that it is for the strengths that you've chosen, so that's all I got for you. Sunbearer Trials by Aidan Thomas is what I will be reading for this. As each new decade begins, the sun's power must be replenished so that Sol can keep traveling along the sky and keep the evil obsidian gods at bay. 10 semidioses I might be saying that wrong, between the ages of 13 and 18 are selected by Sol himself as the most worthy to compete in the Sunbearer Trials. The winner carries light and life to all of the temples of Reino del Sol, but the loser has the greatest honor of all. They will be sacrificed to Sol, their body used to fuel the sunstones that will protect the people of Reino del Sol for the next 10 years. Teo, probably, a 17-year-old Jade Cimedios and the trans son of Queso, goddess of birds, I might have said that wrong, sorry, has never worried about the trials, or rather, he's only worried for others. His best friend Nia, daughter of Tierra, the god of earth, is one of the strongest heroes of their generation and is much too likely to be chosen this year. He can't help but worry, reluctantly and under protest, for Aurelio, a powerful god Simidios, and Teo's friend-turned-rival, who is a shoo-in for the trials. Teo wouldn't mind taking Aurelio down a notch or two, but a 1 in 10 chance of death is a bit too close for Teo's taste. But then, for the first time in over a century, Sol chooses a Simidios who isn't a gold. In fact, he chooses 2. Zayo, the 13-year-old child of Mala Suerte, god of bad luck, and Teo. Now they must compete in 5 mysterious trials against opponents who are both more powerful and better trained for fame, glory, and their own survival. Next, we have Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston for the prompt, a feel-good book. Now, this is a reread for me, and I will be, for the next prompt, a Secret World trope, be reading Amari and the Great Game, which is the sequel. So I'm just going to give you the summary for Amari and the Night Brothers, and then just because sometimes the summaries can spoil the first book, and so if you haven't read the first book, I don't want to do that to you, especially not in a TBR. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you about the first book, and you know the second book is for the Secret World trope. Quentin Peters was the golden boy of the Rosewood Low-Income Housing Projects, receiving full scholarship offers to 2 different Ivy League schools. When he mysteriously goes missing, his little sister, 13-year-old Amari Peters, can't help but wonder why it's not a bigger deal. Why isn't his story all over the news? And why do the police automatically assume he was into something illegal? Then Amari discovers a ticking briefcase in her brother's old closet. A briefcase meant for her eyes only. There was far more to Quentin, it seems, than she ever knew. He's left her a nomination for a summer tryout at the secretive Bureau of Supernatural Affairs. Amari is certain the answer to finding out what happened to him lies somewhere inside, if only she can get her head around the idea of mermaids, dwarves, yetis, and magicians all being real things. Something she has to instantly confront when she's given a were-dragon as a roommate. Amari must compete against some of the nation's wealthiest kids who've known about the supernatural world their whole lives and are able to easily answer questions like, which 2 great beasts reside in the Atlantic Ocean and how old is Merlin? Just getting around the Burrow is less than alone for Amari with signs like Department of Hidden Places this way, or is it? If that all wasn't enough, every Burrow trainee has a talent enhanced to supernatural levels to help them do their jobs, but Amari is given an illegal ability, as if she needed something else to make her stand out. With an evil magician threatening the whole supernatural world and her own classmates thinking she's an enemy, Amari has never felt more alone, but if she doesn't pass the 3 trials, she may never find out what happened to Quentin. And then again, the seventh book on this list is for the Secret World trope, and it is Amari and the Great Game by B.B. Alston. Next, we have Desert Creatures by Kay Chronister, and this is an arc that I will be reading for A Book with a Journey. It's also a short one, so I'm kind of glad that I'm going to be keeping it a little bit short for the next one. Desert Creatures is about a world that has become treacherous and desiccated, and Magdala has always had to fight to survive. At 9 years old, she and her father Xavier, they were exiled from their home, fleeing through the Sonoran Desert, searching for refuge. As violence pursues them, they join a handful of survivors on a pilgrimage to the holy city of Las Vegas, which is where it's said that vigilante saints reside, bright with neon power. After surviving for 7 years on her own, because her father passes away, Magdala is sick of waiting for a miracle. Recruiting exiled Vegas priest named Alam at gunpoint to serve as her guide, Magdala turns her gaze to Vegas once more, and this time, nothing will stop her. The pair form a fragile alliance as they navigate the darkest and strangest reaches of the desert on a trip that takes her further from salvation, even as she nears the holy city. Next, we have an actual physical book, which is The Path of Thorns by A.G. Slater. Asher Todd comes to live with the mysterious which I am reading for a book with a group cast. Asher Todd comes to live with the mysterious Moorwood family as the governess to their children. Asher knows little about being a governess, but she is skilled in botany and herb craft, and perhaps more than that. And Moorwood is a house that eats secrets. With a monstrous revenge in mind, Asher plans to make it choke. However, she becomes fond of her charges of the people of the Tarn, and she begins to wonder if she'll be able to execute her plan, and who will suffer the most if she does. But as the ghosts of her past become harder to control, Asher realizes she has no choice. Next, we have another physical book. This is for the side quest because I will not be using the books in the side quest because I just read Gideon the Ninth in this past October, so I don't want to read it again for November. And I also have read Cute Mittens quite a few times, so I'm also going to be skipping that. And I don't love A Memory Called Empire just because it is a really big book and it's like the political intrigue that I struggle with sometimes, so I am going to be skipping that one. But instead of that, I will be reading The Overnight Guest by Heather Gudenkoff. This did come out this year, and I have been picking up these little thriller books from the store, like the grocery store or whatever, pretty frequently now, and they're starting to stack up on my nightstand, so I really need to start. True crime writer Wiley Lark doesn't mind being snowed in at the isolated farmhouse where she's retreated to write her new book. A cozy fire, complete silence. It would be perfect if not for the fact that decades earlier, at this very house, 2 people were murdered in cold blood and a girl disappeared without a trace. As the storm worsens, Wiley finds herself trapped inside the house, haunted by the secrets contained within its walls, haunted by secrets of her own. Then she discovers a small child in the snow just outside. After bringing the child inside for warmth and safety, she begins to search for answers, but soon it becomes clear that the farmhouse isn't as isolated as she thought, and someone is willing to do anything to find them. Ooh, spooky. On to the next one. We have Leech by Hiran Ennis for a book with an epic battle. In an isolated chateau, as far north as north goes, the Baron's doctor has died. The doctor's replacement has a mystery to solve, discovering how the Institute lost track of one of its many bodies. For hundreds of years, the interprovincial medical institution has grown by taking root in young minds and shaping them into doctors, replacing every human practitioner of medicine. The Institute is here to help humanity, to cure and to cut, to cradle and protect the species from the apocalyptic horrors their ancestors unleashed. In the frozen north, the Institute's body will discover a competitor for its rung at the top of the evolutionary ladder. A parasite is spreading through the Baron's castle, already a dark pit of secrets, lies, violence, and fear. The two will make war on the battlefield of the body. Whichever wins, humanity will lose again. Next up, we have Babel by R.F. Kuang for the free book space. A lot of you already probably know about Babel and what it is about. It is about the city of Oxford having this building of Babel, the world's center for translation, and Robin who goes to serve at Babel. He's basically betraying his own motherland, so it's a little bit of internal conflict there. But Britain pursues an unjust war with China over silver and opium, and Robin has to then decide, can powerful institutions be changed from within, or does revolution always require violence? And what is he willing to sacrifice to bring Babel down? So I think that that's interesting, an interesting reference to the biblical Babel, Tower of Babel, and it's kind of secret history in concept, I think. Not in concept, because R.F. Kuang's writing is always so much bigger than I feel like people compare it, like the comps to R.F. Kuang's books, but either way, it's going to be a really good book and I'm excited about it. Next, for your physically longest book or your physically heaviest book, not physically longest, your longest book or your physically heaviest book. I will be reading House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski, which is about 800 pages or so. She's large, and if you don't know about House of Leaves, it is kind of a horror book that a lot of people have read over time and talked about. I've actually read from Mark Z. Danielewski before. I've got Only Revolutions, and I read that in high school and really enjoyed it. Conceptually, it's confusing as hell. You know, there's a lot of pages that are just like weird, and it is what it is. I have obviously started it already based on the fact that there's some tabbing. I don't know if you can actually see. There's some tabbing that's already started here. I keep starting it and not continuing to read it because it is so much and confusing, and some of the references aren't real and some of them are real, and like it's a whole thing. Essentially, the person telling the story has his own footmarks. Is that what they're called? Anyway, footmarks. I think that's right. And then also the person who wrote the story that this person is also helping tell has his own footmarks, and then also the editor has his own footmarks, and so it's a story within a story within a story, basically, which is really conceptually interesting because it is the like core story. The horror part of this is that it is about a house that is bigger on the inside than it is on the outside, which bigger on the inside than it is on the outside, which makes sense, like that this would be a story within a story within a story, because this is a book that's bigger on the inside than it looks on the outside, conceptually. It's a huge book. I have wanted to read it for years and years and years, but I always thought that I would end up doing the murder wall situation with it. I probably won't. I would love to make content with reading this, but since I'm reading it for Clear Your Shit, I am gonna start it like the first of Clear Your Shit and just keep reading it while I'm reading other books, because I definitely cannot, you know, start this at the end of November and hope to finish it at the end of November. Next up, for a low hopes sequel, or a sequel you have low hopes for, I'll be reading Immortality, a Love Story by Dana Schwartz. This is the sequel to something, a love story? Anatomy, a Love Story. Hazel Sinnott is alone and half convinced that the events of the year before, the Immortality, Beecham's Vial, were a figment of her imagination. She doesn't even know whether Jack is alive or dead. All she can really do now is treat patients and maintain Hawthornden Castle as it starts to decay around her. When saving a life leads to her arrest, Hazel seems doomed to rot in prison until a message intervenes. She has been specifically requested to be the personal physician of Princess Charlotte, the sickly daughter of King George IV. Soon, Hazel is dragged into the glamour and romance of court, where everyone has something to hide, especially the enigmatic, brilliant members of the social club known as the Companions to the Death. As Hazel's work entangles her more and more with the British court, she realizes that her own future as the surgeon isn't the only thing at stake. Malicious forces are at work in the monarchy, and Hazel must be the only one capable of setting things right. And last but not least, for a book with a trope I hate, I will be reading Phaedra by Lauren Shepperson. The trope that I hate specifically is using rape as a plot device when there are other plot devices. I don't really love when sexual assault is kind of the basis for somebody's story. I understand why it's used, but I don't like it. So Phaedra has been cast to the side all her life. Daughter of an adulteress, sister of a monster, and now unwilling bride to the much older, power-hungry Theseus. Young, naive, and idealistic, she has accepted her lot in life, resigned to existing under the sinister weight of Theseus's control and the constant watchful eye of her handsome stepson, Hippolytus. When supposed pious Hippolytus assaults her, Phaedra's world is darkened in the face of untouchable, prideful power. In the face of injustice, Phaedra refuses to remain quiet any longer. Such an awful truth demands to be brought to light. When Phaedra publicly accuses Hippolytus of rape, she sparks an overdue reckoning. The men of Athens gather to determine the truth. Meanwhile, the women of the city, who have no vote, are gathering in the shadow. The women know truth is a slippery thing in the hands of men. There are two sides to every story, and theirs has gone unheard until now. It's not that I hate the trope. It's not my favorite trope, right? And it's hard to pick a trope you hate. Anyway, that is my TBR for the first part of Clear Your Shit. For the first part of Clear Your Shit, I will obviously have my December TBR ready when the time comes, but that is my first part. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you guys are participating in Clear Your Shit and you're excited. I'm excited. I will see you guys again on Tuesdays and Thursdays every single week at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share if you did like the video. If you didn't like the video, let me know how I can make it better for you, unless you disagree with my opinions, and then I can't help. I will see you guys again next week. Don't forget to take your meds, drink your water, and do something today to take care of yourselves. Okay, thanks, bye.